I have never seen anything like this in my entire life.
Do you see with your eyes? It's red.
The eyes of the world are now on the United States, as the outcome of the upcoming presidential election promises profound implications that could change the course of history. The repercussions of these elections go far beyond politics. They raise spiritual and philosophical questions that resonate around the world, sparking debates among religious leaders, scholars, and even secular political analysts who wonder what the future holds for this nation and how these changes fit into the biblical prophecies that have been discussed for a long time. Centuries. The question that echoes now is, what is really happening in the United States and with Donald Trump? What are the predictions that shape the future of this country, and what does biblical prophecy reveal to us about these events? For many decades, the United States maintained its position as one of the world's greatest powers. Since its rise as a global leader in the post-World War II period, its influence has extended across borders, shaping economies, cultures, and politics in unprecedented ways. However, today, the country faces a series of critical challenges that have captured the attention of the entire world. One of these most notable events was the attempted attack on Donald Trump, former president of the United States, during one of his campaigns for the next presidential elections. This event not only shocked the nation, but also reignited debate about the political and spiritual future of America, a country whose actions and decisions impact globally. Despite the concern this prospect may generate among those who value the United States' role in the world, it is crucial to understand the reasons behind the prediction of its eventual decline. When analyzing the eschatological prophecies contained in the books of Ezekiel, Daniel, and Revelation, it is observed that the United States could have a significant influence in the final period of history, particularly in the last week of Daniel. This week refers to a 7-year period during which the Antichrist is expected to exercise his dominance. A detailed review of these prophecies suggests that, in the context of apocalyptic events, the United States could experience a decline that would prevent it from playing a prominent role in the events of end times. And this could happen sooner than we imagine. The perceived weakness of the current administration has led several countries to question and challenge American authority, evidenced by the recent presence of ships from rival nations in the Caribbean. This situation reflects a decline in the global influence of the United States, which has historically been considered a feared and respected superpower. Although it is still a world power, its ability to exert influence and maintain its leadership status has significantly diminished. What is particularly worrying is the possible proximity of a prophecy that anticipates the fall of the American empire. In this analysis, we will examine this prophecy in detail and discuss the factors that could hasten or delay its fulfillment. Economically, the United States faces a series of crises, including a crushing national debt and rising inflation. Politically, its global influence has been challenged by emerging powers such as China and Russia, which see American weakness as an opportunity to expand their own influence. More recently, the presence of warships from rival nations in the Caribbean has raised even more questions about the United States' ability to maintain its role as the world's leading power. This gradual decline has not gone unnoticed by biblical prophecy scholars, who point to a possible connection between the weakening of the United States and the fulfillment of end-time prophecies. One such prediction suggests that the American empire, like great empires of the past, will also face collapse. Now, before we discuss the specific prophecy, it is crucial to understand a few points about the United States, both from a historical and prophetic perspective. The rise of the United States as a global superpower after World War II was a decisive milestone in modern history. The use of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki established the United States as a globally dominant force, not only in the military field, but also in the political and economic arena. Since then, the country has maintained its position of global leadership, influencing international decisions and dictating the direction of several nations. However, in recent years, this hegemonic position has suffered a visible decline. Most people still don't realize what's really happening in the world, and that's why we decided to offer something special for you, which accompanies our channel. an exclusive digital ebook titled The Secret Behind the Holy Bible. This ebook brings surprising revelations about biblical prophecies and their hidden meanings. It has been carefully crafted so that you can clearly and objectively understand the prophetic events that are unfolding. The download is free and can be done quickly and simply. Just access the link we left in the first pinned comment of this video. But be careful, we have a limited number of downloads and they are running out quickly. Take advantage of this unique opportunity to secure your copy before it goes offline. The fulfillment of this prophecy may be conditioned by several factors that are unfolding behind the scenes in American and global politics. Over the next few months, we will see a sequence of events that could speed up or slow down what many believe is inevitable. Therefore, it is essential to be aware of these developments to better understand the future implications. But you may be wondering, after all, what prophecy are we referring to? And why are we so certain that its fulfillment is near? To answer this question, it is first necessary to understand the context in which we live and the signs around us. What will be the political, economic, and spiritual consequences for the nation? And how does his possible re-election align with biblical prophecies? Those who study eschatology, the science of last things, have observed this moment with particular interest, seeing in it the fulfillment of ancient predictions. Some scholars believe there is a specific prophecy that could have a significant impact on the direction the United States takes in the coming years. And what's most interesting is that this prophecy is not just being debated by fervent Christians. Even people who don't follow any religion are starting to discuss this possibility and what it means for the future. During the afternoon of that day, a young man tried to assassinate Donald Trump in an act that took many by surprise and generated a wave of theories and discussions on social media. The identity of the attacker and the motivations behind the attack were widely speculated, but what really shook was the perception of vulnerability surrounding such a prominent political figure. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden, current occupant of the White House, announced his decision not to run for re-election, which automatically placed Donald Trump in the position of main candidate. With this, the question that now arises is, what will happen to the United States if Donald Trump returns to power? And before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell so that YouTube notifies you whenever we publish new videos on topics as important and current as this one. Now, without further delay, let's dive deep into the issues surrounding the destiny of the United States and the prophecy that is about to be fulfilled. We are living in difficult times and full of prophetic signs. Events around the world have shaken many nations, but a recent event in the United States raised alarms in several parts of the globe due to its repercussions as a world power. In recent days, the world has been particularly attentive to what is happening within American borders, not only because of the upcoming presidential elections, but also because of the response of other global powers, such as Russia, China, and several countries in the Middle East. These nations are watching closely, trying to anticipate how to deal with the government that will emerge from the upcoming elections and the impact this will have on the international geopolitical landscape. Furthermore, it is important to remember that international headlines have been dominated by the attack that took place on Saturday, July 13th. More than 500,000 copies have already been sold, and you can find the link in the first pinned comment. Governments that adopt and promote principles aligned with God's word, on the other hand, can experience an extension of divine mercy, acting as a moderating factor in the fulfillment of prophecies of destruction. As Christians, we must pray for the United States and all nations. History shows that sincere repentance and a return to biblical principles can delay judgment. The story of Nineveh, where the people repented and God extended his mercy, serves as an example. Ultimately, the interaction between government policies and biblical principles will play a crucial role in determining the fate of nations during these prophetic times. Don't forget to download our book, The Secret Behind Biblical Prophecies. The fall of the United States may not be due to external threats, but rather to its own internal corruption. This moral and spiritual deterioration recalls the fall of Belshazzar, who desecrated the sacred vessels of God's temple, leading to the fall of his empire. In a similar way, the collapse of the United States could result from its moral and spiritual degradation. This deterioration in divine principles and international relations could precipitate the downfall of the United States as a global power, leading to a decline in terms of geopolitical influence, military capacity, and economic strength. Prophecies suggest that such a collapse is imminent, and the enactment of laws that contradict biblical principles can accelerate this process. Thirdly, when examining biblical prophecies in detail, it becomes clear that the epicenter of the final events will be the region where it all began, the Middle East. Prophecies from the Old Testament to the Book of Revelation emphasize that both the beginning of biblical history and its culmination are concentrated in this geographic area. This region was the scene of important historical and spiritual events described in the Scriptures. Fourth, biblical prophecies indicate that for the Antichrist's single currency, identified with the number 6 times 6 to emerge, the global monetary system, including the dollar, must collapse. This suggests that the United States could face a downfall as an empire. For this reason, many believe that this important stage was not fully completed during the ancient Roman Empire, but will resurface in the end days, becoming the scene of the Antichrist manifestation, the definitive beast. Therefore, according to the prophecy, the world government in the final stage will be exercised by a coalition of 10 kingdoms located in the same region that governed the Roman Empire, covering mainly the Middle East. Given that the United States is not in this geographic area, its role in the final events appears to be marginal. Thus, the focus of global power and influence in the end times will be on the Middle East, excluding the United States as a relevant power in this context. And behold, there came up among them another little horn, before which 3 of the first horns were plucked up. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. Daniel was unable to compare the fourth beast to any known animal. He says that it was terrible, amazing, and very strong. This beast corresponds to the legs of iron and feet of iron mixed with clay, related to the Roman Empire, which was characterized by its strength and organization, but also by its cruelty. This empire came to an end in the 10th century, but there have been numerous efforts in the modern era to revive that ancient ideal. Given this scenario, the question arises, could the United States be one of these 10 kingdoms that form the final alliance and surrender their power to the Antichrist? When examining the eschatological prophecies about the 10 kingdoms that dominate at the end of time, it is observed that these kingdoms correspond to the region that was under the control of the fourth beast described in the book of Daniel, that is, the Roman Empire. Let us read in Daniel 7:7-8. After this, I continued looking in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, terrible and terrifying, and very strong, which had great iron teeth, which devoured and made in pieces and trampled underfoot what was left. It was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. If the United States had significant relevance during the Great Tribulation, we would expect at least a symbolic or indirect mention. This omission raises the possibility that the country may not be present as a global power during the fulfillment of the final prophecies. Second, biblical prophecies indicate that during the end times, the world will be ruled by a coalition of 10 kingdoms or countries that will cede their authority to the beast. Let us read Revelation 17:12. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received the kingdom, but for 1 hour they will receive authority as kings together with the beast. In this video, we will explore the reasons and factors that could contribute to the downfall of the United States as a global power within the scope of eschatological biblical prophecies. Firstly, biblical end-time prophecies, specifically in the books of Ezekiel, Daniel, and Revelation, do not mention countries like the United States. Instead, nations like Russia, Turkey, and other regional entities stand out. This absence is particularly significant given that we are approaching the period of the Great Tribulation, and the United States has been a dominant power in recent times. The lack of reference to the United States in the prophecy suggests that, in the context of apocalyptic events, the country may not play a prominent role.